You're looking muted.
Thank you. This is a meeting of the Earthworks Board, March 14th, 2024 at approximately 6 p.m. We're starting at 6:05. I'm going to read the preamble and then turn it over to our chair, Janet Sandstrom. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, signed into law on March 29th, 2023, this meeting will be conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance by members of the public will be permitted. This meeting will be live streamed and recorded and will not have the option for public participation. Madam Chair, the meeting is yours.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Scott. Okay, the first thing we will do is have a roll call. Okay, when I say your name, please acknowledge that you're here.
Here.
What?
Present.
Where's my papers? I lost all my papers. Okay, Tony Peeney.
Here.
Chris Dicadis.
Here.
Ron Doucette.
Here.
Janet Sandstrom. Here. Okay. Members of the staff, Scott Carpenter.
Yep, present.
Okay. Okay, let's see here. The first thing on the agenda is to review the minutes of February 8th. Have we all looked at the minutes?
Yes.
Okay. Would you make a motion, Tony, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
All those in favor?
I got a question.
Yep.
Scott, did you update the information I gave you?
I did. Yes, I did, Ron.
And how does it read now? Do you have it in front of you?
I do.
It says members absent. Ron Doucette, Megan Coden, and Chris Dicadis.
I'm looking for the change, Ron. I did
Okay.
correct the spelling of your name.
No, I'm not worried about that.
Okay. Kimball Sand. Oh, no, this was the other meeting minutes. I'm sorry, Ron. This was the January meeting minutes. I amended those as we discussed. I sent them to the town clerk, and it was not a substantive change, so they did not warrant reapproval of the board.
Yeah, but I mean, the name of Lammy was taken out of it. Had nothing to do with him. Yeah.
Yes.
And you put in the trucking company?
I don't believe I named Russo in particular, but I did remove Lamb because he's not associated with the project. It's the Devereaux project. I'll confirm that, but that was the January meeting.
Okay.
Yep. This is the February one. I will confirm.
Yeah, that's the meeting I tried to get in and I couldn't get in.
Yep. I'll confirm that and send you a confirmation email tomorrow, Ron.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Okay, the next on the agenda, we have security release of 7385 West Main Street, Demetrius Fiazzi, $10,490.86. That's pretty old.
Yeah, this is the property on West Main Street where the Hillside Grill is.
Right.
The funds were retained for quite some time in hopes that the rear slope would be vegetated. It is vegetated. It's not in the best vegetative state, but it is vegetated and it complies with the standards and requirements. I discussed this with our former town engineer, now retired, Fred Litchfield, as well as with the town administrator, the finance director, and the treasurer collector, and everybody was in agreement that it's appropriate now to release this security. The reason the agenda says plus additional accrued interest, well, interest accrues every day, so it's a little more than, you know, the number you see there, but it's not a substantial difference.
Okay, make a motion to release the bond.
Jen, I have one question for Scott. I assume the as-bills have been submitted to the town.
Yes, we have received the as-bills, yes.
With that, I'll make a motion to release the bond of 10,000 plus interest.
I'll second.
Okay, how do you vote, Chris?
Aye.
Ron, how do you vote?
Yes.
Tony Pini, how do you vote?
Yes,
Deanna votes yes also. Okay, next on the agenda, we have the consideration for the Earthworks bylaw changes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I'm obviously new to the Earthwork Board process. I did go through the bylaws and the process of renewing permits with the Kimball Sand permit that we went through back in January. In February's meeting. And I made a couple suggestions. I have a couple suggestions on how to maybe streamline the process for our business owners and applicants. One component is the the public notification for a hearing. The Earthwork Board has a 21-day advance notification. That can be a challenge when meetings are monthly and the newspaper requires 5 working days before an ad goes in. That leaves very little window between meetings for an applicant to get on the next meeting. And it's a bit inconsistent with many of the other boards and commissions. The vast majority of the boards and commissions, including Mass General Law, requires a minimum of 14 days advance notice. I'm proposing that this board consider, and the town meeting body consider, changing the advance notice from 21 days as it is now in the bylaw to 14 days to be more in line with other boards and committees, as well as streamline the process a little bit when it comes to advertising. My expectation, after I go through these changes and you deliberate, my hope is that there is a consensus of support for the changes, so I can indicate that to our town clerk and the moderator at the town meeting. So that's one of the changes. I don't know if you want it. There's only two other changes. Do you want me to go through all 3, Janet, or do you want to
Yeah,
talk
I
about
think that's a good idea.
Okay. The next change is only requiring a public hearing for new permits and changes. For example, Kimball Sand renews their permit every single year. There's no changes. They have to advertise, notify the abutters, give me the green card. It's very onerous on our applicants when they're not doing anything different. I understand a public notification if there's a change or if there's a new application, the abutters and the neighbors should know something is happening on this parcel. The abutters and the neighbors already know it's been happening there for a year. We'll renew the permit through the normal process, just not have to have a public hearing and notify the abutters and put the advertisement out. That was the second change I'm proposing. The third one, and I bounce this back and forth between the 2 options. Currently, the permit is good for 1 year. In New England, almost every single dirt moving project takes 2 years. You want to have 2 growing cycles to establish a vegetated cover. So you get a permit, construction season starts in the spring, you dig up the ground, you do your thing, project's done. Hopefully you get loam and seed down in the fall. So you capture an October, November growing season. Nobody closes a permit after that. You always wait until spring to make sure the germination took, and they have a second growing cycle, possibly an overseed, so that you can confirm that vegetation has been established. Right now, we have a 1-year term in the permit. I would like to change that to either 2 or 3 years. Every project that I see as a civil engineer that has grass requires two years to do, because you need 2 growing cycles. Whether it's 2 years or 3 years is up to the discretion of this board. The document I sent out shows a 3-year permit duration, which is similar to a planning board decision. They last 3 years. Zoning boards are 2, so it's at the discretion of this board. 2 or 3 years is those are 3 changes. Reduce the duration of public hearing, advance notice. Only require public hearings for new or permit changes, and extend the permit longevity from 1 to 2 or 3 years.
Well, I think my opinion is that all 3 of these are very good. People who come in to work in town or any town, the first thing they say is very difficult to get through all the boards. And I think the requirement of 14 days is a good idea, and definitely 2 years.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Jenny, you mean 3 years?
Well, 2 years is fine. 3 years, we could do 3, but I think 3 is a lot.
I started with 2, and then when I circulated it around, and I'm an engineer. I write things. I'm never the only one who looks at them. I sent them out for a second set of eyes and some independent opinions, and I got a couple opinions back from some of my peers that said go for 3. I said, well, I started with 2, but I'll suggest 3 as well. So, like you said, I'm both ways.
What peers are those that you talk to?
Other directors and planners.
Of other towns?
Yes. I try not to do things in a vacuum. I don't want North Road to be the one and only of 351, cities and towns that does something. I'd like to have some, commonalities.
Yeah, I understand. No, that's a good way of doing it.
Thank you.
And the general consensus was 3 years, or was it a mix?
It was a mix. So I just said, we'll show 3. It absolutely should be 2, because you can't do anything in a year in New England.
No,
Right.
definitely not. You run out of time sooner than you think.
So Scott, I have just a question, might help me determine what the right answer is, if there's a right or wrong answer, but leaning one way or the other. What's the downside of having 3 years? Any downside you can think of to having 3 years versus 2?
There really isn't a downside to it. If you have a longer project, for example, there's a common driveway on Ridge Road. That's a 2-year construction project. They're gonna do the common driveway, the utilities 1 year, and the foundations, and then come back the next year and do all the framing and everything. And the second year is when they get their loam and seed down. So that would be a 3-year project. The Devereaux project, that'll be a 3-year project. That's a year of solid site construction, a year of building erection, and then the 3rd year you get your second growing season. So the only projects that really are 2 years are, single site kind of, you're putting up a duplex or 2. That should be a 2-year project. But the big ones are generally 3.
Yeah.
Well, is there any way that we can, if it's a house, then it'd be 2, if it's a big construction, it'd be 3, or you just want it all 3 and be done with it?
It's generally the only way to amend it would be to have it in the bylaw, allow it at your discretion. So write it up. But at that point, it's probably better just to go with 2 and have them come back. As long as nothing's changed with the project, they don't have to notify the public. They don't have to. All they got to do is send a letter asking to renew, and we all drive by, take a look at it, say, "Yep, they're still moving dirt. We'll renew it." Then we do it at a regular meeting. So there's no real harm with 2 years at all.
Yeah,
Madam
I
Chair is
think
back.
3
Okay,
years seems all.
so we do have the option of, if it's, say, a single family home or a small business, we can use 2 years, and if it's a big, large project, use 3, or do we have to, does that have to be amended?
I could change the bylaw to have it at your discretion. But that's a little odd because
Okay, okay,
builders will look at it and say, I don't know what the rules of engagement are here.
okay, okay.
So I 2 years is the smaller projects, and then if it's a big project, I don't think having them back to the board with a simple letter that says please extend is too onerous of a task to ask.
Okay. How does everyone else feel about that?
I lean towards 3.
Okay, what about you?
As long as there's no downside, keeping 3, let's make it easy for everybody. And if there's ever an issue, we can always intervene.
Well, we want to make it as easy as we can without, giving them full reign of everything they're doing. We want to still be in control. Chris, what's your feeling on that?
I also am leaning towards 3. For the same thing Tony said, is kind of helps keep it easy, and things happen with construction all the time, as Scott said, and just gives a little breathing.
I would imagine there'd be a lot of people looking for that 3rd year just to get their as-builts done, not just grass established through 2 grow cycles. I'm guessing that they would, the as-built process is relatively slow, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do we have to vote on this?
It would be great to have a motion and a vote, and it's just the motion.
What exactly are we voting on?
We're voting on support for the proposed bylaw changes. So that way, when we're at town meeting, we can say with a straight face that the Earthwork Board voted at their regularly scheduled meeting to support these proposed changes.
Well, I have a question, Scott, beforehand. There appears to be a typo in the words that you sent around. I don't know if it matters, but at the end there's maybe 4 lines up from the bottom. It says 3 years, and then though permits may be renewed upon written request by the typo. Do you see that?
By the permittee.
Oh, that's a word. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I withdraw my question.
Okay, thank you. Got me worried.
Okay, so we are going to take a vote on the board supports the proposed changes.
Perfect.
Okay. Somebody make a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to support the 3 changes discussed. For
I'll second.
Okay. Tony Pini, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chris Dekatis, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ron Doucette, how do you vote?
Yes.
Janet Sandstrom votes yes. So we support the proposed changes.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, board members.
Okay.
You may have seen on the invite, there was a long list. The invite I sent out this morning via email. There's a long list of dates.
Yes.
For this being a reoccurring meeting,
Right.
I believe the 2nd Thursday of every month.
Mm-hmm.
So, I know we have scheduled future meetings, but it's kind of already out there. Just a matter of whether everybody's available for the next one.
Okay. Do we have any new projects coming into town that will be before our board that are at the planning board now, or something that's going to be coming to our board?
I don't think so. So what we try to do is keep this placeholder in our calendars in the event something does arise. If not, the week before, I always have a reminder on my phone to go through the meeting postings and agendas and all that. If it's not warranted, I just email everybody and we don't have the meeting.
Okay.
I would like to let you all know that there was a bylaw change last year, which was mandated by the EPA, the Federal Environmental Protection Agency, that Massachusetts the communities have a land disturbance permit. EPA pushed it through DEP, who pushed it on us. Land disturbance permit applies to any project that disturbs land over 1 acre.
Right.
The land disturbance permit has a bonding capacity to it. So my expectation is that this board will see far, far fewer applications, in that a lot of them will be captured by the land use permit, the land disturbance permit. So we'll see how it plays out over the next year, and what this board sees for applications and not.
Is that a board? The land disturbance?
It's taken care of by the Conservation Commission.
Oh, I see.
So it's often that you go to the Conservation Commission anyway.
Uh-huh.
So they'll get 2 permits. I did the senior center trail,
Mhm.
the 88 trail that's going around the pond in the senior center.
Right.
The DPW received a land disturbance permit, as well as a notice of intent for the Conservation Commission, order of conditions for the Conservation Commission. Same thing happened with the dog park. So we're applicants just like anybody else, and we did not have to come before this board because it was captured by the land disturbance permit process.
Okay. Well, that's a kind of a pretty clear notice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, is there anything else that anybody has to say concerning the Earthworks Board meeting?
No, Madam Chair, not for me.
Okay. Okay, we're going to adjourn the meeting. Oh, first of all, that's all set. Okay. So, will you make a motion to adjourn the meeting, please?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Tony, Ron,
Yes.
Chris,
Aye.
Janet, Scott, nice
Yes.
seeing you tonight.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Okay,
you.
Have a good night. Have a
Good
good
to
I
see
night.
you.
know.
Care.